Hi, Chris Wilson.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games.
Hallo!
Welcome to EXILCON 2023.
Hey, let's go.
It feels like just yesterday that I was here on stage at EXILCON 2019 announcing Path of Exile 2. Since then, we have worked tirelessly on the content we're going to show you this weekend. To everyone here in person, thank you so much for coming out to join us. It honestly feels so good to know that people love Path of Exile so much that they fly across the world to come and celebrate it with us in person here.
Easy.
I really hope you have a great trip and make the most of your time in New Zealand. Our last EXILCON was a magical experience, and we've tried to go above and beyond in every way this time. If you're tuning in online to watch the live stream, thanks for joining us also.
No problem. You are welcome.
But to ensure you have the full EXILCON experience, we have made sure to include every talk and session as part of the 2-day live stream this weekend.
Nice.
Twitch drops are enabled for the live stream, but if you're here in the audience, you'll automatically get them when you redeem the microtransaction code in your swag bag, so no need to stream it from your phones while you're watching. You'll also receive the attendee-only EXILCON 2023 hideout. We have so much to share with you this weekend, and let's just get right into Path of Exile 2. I'd like to introduce Jonathan Rogers and Mark Roberts, game directors of Path of Exile 2.
Okay. Show me, Junge, show me. Show me my face.
Hey guys. While Chris has been running Path of Exile 1, Mark and I and over 100 other developers have been hard at work on PoE 2. And honestly, the project has become much bigger than we expected when we announced it in 2019. It's been almost 4 years since then, and so it's about time we showed you what we've been working on. Oh, hang on. Okay. Sorry, I forgot. Okay. When we announced Path of Exile 2 at EXILCON 2019, we told you guys that we were releasing it as an expansion to PoE 1, and that both campaigns would be playable in the same game client with a shared endgame. But PoE 2's scope has continued to grow and grow, and it's far more than just an expansion with a new campaign. It has entirely new monsters, skills, mechanics, classes, everything you'd expect from the next generation of action RPGs. Not to mention revamps of most of the PoE 1 League content. This thing is just freaking huge. There was a point when we realized that our plan to replace PoE 1 with PoE 2 would essentially be getting rid of a game that people love for no real reason. So we made a decision. Path of Exile 1 and 2 will be separate with their own mechanics, balance, endgames, and leagues. But it's still a shared platform. Your microtransactions are available across both games. Everything you have ever purchased or will ever purchase in the future will be usable in both games unless it's hyper-specific to the content of one of them. You can't transform into a bear in PoE 1, so a reskin of your bear form isn't going to work. But you absolutely can equip the awesome armor set that you got and use all your stash tabs. So with that in mind, we'd love to show you a live demo of some of the stuff we've been working on. PoE 2 has come a long way. Mark here is going to man the PC. Hopefully he doesn't die. It is a live gameplay demo after all.
What? Die wollen Path of Exile 1 und 2 separat am Laufen halten? Junge, das viel. Oh, ich weiß nicht, wie die das machen wollen.
Alright.
So, es sind so viele Ressourcen, die dadurch verbraucht werden.
The gods caused all this, you know. After Oriath was destroyed, I traveled, searching for answers.
Oh, psst.
Everywhere I went, the same divine devastation. It must end. I will end it. And no exile will stop me.
Witch, okay. Ranger. Duelist, Shadow. Templar? Der sah nice aus. Warrior. Huntress, die ist neu. Amazone ist die. Sorcerer. Mercenary. Monk? Wait! Das sind 3 neue Klassen. Doch, ne, 3. Druide ist neu. Huntress ist neu. Die Amazone. Oh, nice. Jo, das sieht aus wie Dark Souls und Diablo. Puh, aber nur viel besser. Warrior halt, das kannten wir schon. Das ist der Marauder gewesen. Man konnte ja rollen, das haben die ja schon gezeigt. Der Monk, genau, der Monk ist die dritte neue Klasse. Oh, der Monk sieht nice aus. Wenigstens kämpft er nicht mit Fäusten. Das sieht so gut aus. Junge, ich krieg Gänsehaut. Ohne Distinct Environment. Oh, okay. 600 Monster. Neue oder schon altbewährte? 1500 passive Skills. Ne, ich glaube insgesamt. Aszendentenklassen, Aktiv-Skills. 6-Person Co-op and much more. 6-Person? Vorher gab es nur 5, glaube ich.
No matter the cost.
Wie viel konnten vorher 4 oder 5? Path of Exile 2. Das. Oh, 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 oh.
All right, Mark, your turn now. Welcome to Path of Exile 2. We'd like to start off by showing you some of the gameplay of Act 3, one of the 6 acts in PoE 2's campaign.
Okay.
We're starting here in the jungle depths. Act 3 is set in the ruins of the Vaal civilization, which fell thousands of years ago. Jungle has taken over their former once great cities, and we'll be exploring it using one of the 6 new character classes called the Monk. In PoE 1, we had 1 character class for each of the combinations of strength, dexterity, and intelligence.
Yeah.
When looking at the design of PoE 2, though, we realized that many of the new skills that we were trying to design just didn't really fit thematically with the existing classes that we have. Being a spellcaster with a bear form makes sense for strength int, but it just doesn't really sound like something a Templar would do. We realized that since we had new mechanics for every attribute combination, it actually made sense to design a new character class to explore the new themes. In PoE 2, every attribute combination has 2 classes associated with it. Strength int has the Templar or the Druid. On dexterity, you have the Ranger or the more spear-focused Huntress. And on dex int, you have the Shadow and the Monk, which Mark is playing here. Each class has its own 3 ascendancies that let you further specialize the class in a way that only that class has access to. But they both start at the same location on the passive tree. The quest rewards you are offered on the 2 variants are tailored to the class.
Das
Of
ist
course,
Meth
this is
Type,
PoE.
das ist nice.
You can still mix and match anything to your heart's content. Looks like we've come across the boss for this area. In PoE 2, every area of the campaign contains a boss of at least this difficulty. That's over 100 bosses to fight as you make your way through the campaign, and they all have unique mechanics.
Das ist nice. Ich glaube, ich spiele einen fucking Monk, Alter. Lass mal Kaffee trinken.
As you've been watching from Mark fighting here, you've probably noticed that melee combat in PoE 2 is a very different feel than before. We've done a lot
Viel
of things to
dynamischer,
ability
Junge.
to combat.
Viel
Practically every
dynamischer.
melee skill in PoE 2 has some
Diablo,
kind of
fuck you,
movement built into it. But the Monk in particular,
Ich bin zu
is a melee
hype, ich bin
fighter
zu
who
hype.
specializes in
Ich krieg gleich ein
mobility
Herz,
over brute
Kasper oder
strength.
so. Scheiß Diablo, Alter. Nice.
So, as Mark has been playing, you might have noticed these blue markers over enemies. Mark has a skill equipped called Killing Palm. Whenever an enemy has a blue indicator over it, it means that the monster has low enough life to cull with Killing Palm.
Oh.
Successfully executing the cull will give you a power charge. This is an important skill for the monk, since many of his skills interact with power charges. One of the great things about this skill is that it has a built-in dash forward, which makes it much easier to target the skill right at the point where you need it.
Ah, okay, das ist so wie ein Execute, nur für den Monk, aber.
Using skills like this feels satisfying. If you're accidentally targeting slightly off the monster, the skill will automatically lock on to the cullable target, and it will even do a small amount of pathfinding around obstacles.
Sehr
We
angenehm.
really want to make sure that when you've got an opportunity to use
Das heißt, wenn da viele Monster sind und du dash da rein, um den zu executen, auch wenn du daneben klickst, solange es in der Nähe ist, wird es so automatisch zu den blauen geportet. Nicht geportet, aber halt getargetet. Das ist sehr nice.
But if you do it with power charges, it turns into a pack clearer with a large number of extra projectiles. One thing to notice here is that, like almost every melee skill in PoE 2, Falling Thunder has a little bit of extra movement built in, just in case you need it. Use the skill within range and you just do the flip in place. But use it at a larger range and your character will move forward while executing it, getting you into position without any time
Er hat
penalty.
gesagt, die meisten Skill haben so
In
kleine
PoE 2, you
Movement
also get a
drin,
short period to
damit es
redirect
halt
your target. Notice how you
angenehmer
can
ist.
start the skill facing one way, then whip the mouse sideways to land the skill in a different direction. Now, in order to get power charges, you're going to first need to get some lower life monsters into a colorable range. You've got a few options if you want to charge right in. Whirling Assault is great. It doesn't do much damage per hit, but it covers a lot of ground. And notice how you can turn as you do it? Generally speaking, you never lose control of your character in PoE 2. If you make a turn at the right time, you can get a couple of extra hits on the monsters, getting them in range of your cull.
Also man kann
Follow up with a Killing Palm and then finish off the rest of the pack with your Falling Thunder.
schön sein Movement dazu benutzen, manche Monster mehrfach mit dem gleichen Skill zu
Now
anzugreifen.
entered the Val Mechanarium.
Und zu
This
nein,
is
zu
the place
treffen,
where the Val
sorry.
built the
Zu
various
treffen.
constructs that they relied on to power their civilization.
Die Azteken.
Now this is a find. A barn
Alva!
that hasn't been looted? I wonder why nobody's been in here before.
One useful feature we've added is the ability to call in NPCs to where you are to give you more information or help you with quest objectives.
Nice, für
rather than always
Story.
having to go back to town. In this case, we've called in Alva to find out what to do.
This mechanism. If powered with a small soul core, it could open that door. There should definitely be soul cores somewhere around here. They had to power these constructs
Auch
somehow.
gameplay-technisch hat das Relevanz. Okay.
As Alva just said, we need to find a small soul core to open this door. Let's explore.
So wie Quest, wo du eigentlich in die Stadt gehen müsstest, musst du das jetzt nicht mehr. Kannst du jetzt sofort... okay, das sagt er auch. Aber ich habe das nicht ganz gecheckt gehabt.
The closer they are, the farther they're pushed back. So it's a great option for keeping smaller but higher damage enemies at bay. Note that the bigger the enemy is, the less they'll be pushed back. So trying to push back some giants isn't going to be as effective.
Macht Sinn, ne? Dass du keine Giants, also Giganten,
And there's the soul core. Let's get back to the door.
zurückstoßen kannst mit der Fähigkeit. Die kriegen gar keinen Schaden. Der Feedback gerade war nicht
Consider me impressed.
vernünftig.
I'll keep investigating in here. Bring me in if you find anything else.
Guck, eigentlich. So,
Now,
guck.
if you need to defeat tougher enemies, it might be time to break out some of the ice skills in the monk's arsenal. Glacial Cascade creates a wave of ice that moves slowly in front of the player.
Glacial
Fast moving
Cascade.
monsters because most of the damage occurs right at the end of the wave, and so a lot of monsters will just walk right by it. But if you can find a way to make a monster stop at just the right place, it can be very effective.
Können
In
wir
order
vom
to do
Power
that, you're
Excel
probably going to
1.
want to freeze some monsters. The monk has a few different tools to do this. A fairly simple option is to get right in the monster's face with Ice Strike. Ice Strike doesn't do too much damage at the first 2 hits, but attack 3 times in sequence and you can get off a combo that has a much higher chance to freeze. Get in there with the
Okay.
freeze, then roll back and finish the job with Glacial Cascade.
Okay,
Now,
nice,
remember how
nice.
Glacial Cascade is that extra damaging spike at the end? If you hit a frozen enemy with that spike, it shatters the ice on the enemy and does a devastating amount of damage.
Combo,
This
die
is a
gehen
really
mehr
good
auf
combo against
Combos,
bosses,
okay.
as you'll see later. Oh yeah, and I've just been casually mentioning rolling around. Did I forget to mention that in PoE 2 we added a dodge roll to every character? Just press spacebar at any time to roll. There's
Besser als Diablo 4, Junge. Ich werde nur noch Diablo 4 voll
and no
scheißen.
limitations.
What? Without
And it even has
limitations?
pathfinding in it, so you don't get stuck on anything. When you
Okay. Das war gerade ein Seitenhieb gegen
When
Blizzard.
you dodge roll, you're not invulnerable. If something hits you, you're going to feel it. But most things aren't going to hit you. And that's because while you're rolling, projectiles and melee strikes will always miss. You'll have to roll out of the way of a slam that has AoE, but anyone swinging a sword or throwing a fireball is going to miss.
Okay.
Now, another important function of dodge roll is it lets you cancel out of any skill at any time. This
Das
makes it so
ist
you don't
nice.
feel like you're getting stuck during a long animation when something's about to hit you.
Das ist
Really
nice.
changes how skills with longer attack and cast times play and makes dodge roll a very reliable
Also du kannst
feeling way
aus
to avoid
jedem
attacks.
Skill rausdodgen. Also kannst du canceln, indem du
So, that's one way to
rausdodgst.
get
Und
out
du
of
hast
the
keine
way of damage,
Limitation,
but
das
the
heißt, du
monk
kannst
specializes in
immer
mobility.
rausdodgen.
So it makes sense
Halt
that
bis die
it would have some
Animation
more.
natürlich zu Ende ist. Du kannst nicht hintereinander
Wave of Frost is one of our new
rollen.
attacks with a retreat built right in.
in der Animation
You
drin.
move backwards and throw out a cold attack with a significant freeze.
Oh, da wurde gerade
The great thing
interrupted.
about this is that it puts you at a good distance to follow up with a glacial cascade and do a whole pile of damage.
Hold Penetration Support. Hat er das gerade automatisch aufgehoben? Jo, das sieht so dynamisch, das sieht einfach so gut aus. Er hat auch gesagt, dass es ein gutes Pathfinding gibt, das heißt, du willst nicht stecken bleiben. Oh, das stimmt nicht. Ah ne, der hat nur Alt weggemacht. Wenn man Alt drückt, kann man das toggeln. Die Items auf dem Boden. Weil in Diablo 4 stackst du meistens immer. Mit dem Mount und auch wenn du rollst. Manchmal hakelt es sogar so stark, dass du dass ein Rubberbanding entsteht. Dass du wieder zurückgeworfen wirst oder nicht halt vernünftig dodgen kannst.
Shattering Palm is a palm strike that puts a small ice bomb on the target. Kill or deal enough damage to the target and the bomb will explode, doing some damage and a significant freeze. It's a great option against bosses where the wave of ice might not be enough to get that freeze off. But
So nice.
you really want to but you still really want to use Glacial Cascade to get the damage bonus.
Das ist es. Ja, nice. Und dann Boom, dann Boom, Boom.
The final skill we're going to show you today is Flicker Strike. It's a monk skill and another skill that consumes power charges.
Okay. Zeig Flicker Strike.
If you've played PoE 1 before, you know what to expect.
Ja. Nice, nice.
It's a great finisher for tough boss fights if you were able to get some power charges beforehand.
Also sammelst du Power Charges, gehst zum Boss und dann machst du Flicker Strike. Da der Monk mit Power Charges spielt. Oh, hat er seinen Power Charge benutzt. Bossfight. Das sieht wie ein Bossfight aus.
Here we have Blackjaw, former overseer of the Mechanarium. When the Val fell, he was turned to stone and now guards the area. In order to take down this boss, we're going to need all the tools in the monk's arsenal, especially the combo of Freeze and Glacial Cascade. Now, if you're a PoE 1 player, you might think you can't rely on Freeze because there's so many bosses that are immune to it. But in PoE 2, that's changing significantly. In PoE 1, Freeze is a binary mechanic. An attack freezes the target, or it doesn't. What this basically means is that in PoE 1, we were forced to add freeze immunity to many bosses because freeze just trivialized them. Because of that, freezing was something you could only really rely on while pack clearing, and not something you could use as a core part of your build for boss fighting.
Ja.
In PoE 2 though, all crowd control mechanics now have internal meters that allow you to build up to a freeze or stun, or whatever other CC mechanic that you're using. It's a little bit like poise from games like Elden Ring, though the meters tend to be a lot smaller than those games.
Okay.
When you freeze an enemy, it increases the amount of freeze you need to do to get another freeze. But the increased difficulty bleeds away slowly. More freeze will always let you freeze the boss more often, but this system means that you will not get out of control in party play or interact badly with other CC mechanics, allowing us to let these kinds of mechanics actually work against all bosses.
Du kannst jetzt alle Bosse stunnen in irgendeiner Form, das heißt durch normale Stunts, indem du die halt durch, glaube ich, Heavy Strike vom Marauder war das, oder durch halt jetzt Glacial Cascade, durch Ice Freezen, kannst du die jetzt. Das ging ja vorher in Path of Exile nicht, weil da konntest du die Bosse nicht machen, nicht stunnen. Guck, jetzt wurde er auch gestunt und er hat auch gesagt, dass Fähigkeiten wie zum Beispiel Eis, die, oh, das sieht nice aus, muss ich schon sagen, die vereist haben, also die Monster gestunt haben, nur fürs Wave Clearen da war. Also um große Monstergruppen zu töten, um halt schnell zu looten, weißt du? Oder wisst ihr, wieso tut sich da jemand? Fast gestorben, Junge. Und er ist gestorben, Junge. Sad, Junge, sad. Das war's. EXILCON vorbei. Alte 4.
Let's take two. All right, so this might be a good time to mention that in PoE 2, if you die to the boss, you have to start again from the start. There's no boss cheesing. So hang on. Oh, there might be a. Are you okay? Oh, 1 second. One technical issue.
Auf jeden Fall kann man jetzt auch die Bosse, also ist jetzt eigentlich jede Fähigkeit available, die vorher nur gestunt hat. Was es nicht nur gestunt hat, aber die halt wirklich auf Monstergruppen aus waren, die wirklich keine Bosse waren, wirklich um Waves zu clearen, um zu farmen. Farmbuilds, genau, ja, lass uns die Farmbuilds nennen. Also war wirklich nur für Farmbuilds geeignet und damit konnte man kaum Bosse killen. Also das war wirklich schwer, da musste man wirklich halt jedes Mal deciden, also entscheiden, sorry, wenn ich immer Englisch und Deutsch zusammenbringe, aber entscheiden, auf was möchte ich machen. Möchte ich jetzt Bosse umklatschen oder möchte ich halt Monstergruppen einfach wegrotzen, die halt 2, 3 Bildschirme entfernt sind. Ja. Und das war in Path of Exile 1 so und es ist immer noch so, aber in Path of Exile 2 wollen sie das halt ändern, allein schon, weil du die Bosse jetzt stunnen kannst. Das heißt, viele Fähigkeiten sind jetzt available, auch wenn sie vom Damage her nicht an die Boss-Builds drankommen. Ja, das ist ja normal, das ist ja obvious. Jetzt aber, jetzt hört ihr ihn. Vor allem da heißt Blackjaw the Remnant. Remnant 2. Jetzt. Hau ab, ja. Sehr schön. Das sieht auch schön aus. Lass mal über die Grafik reden. Das sieht auch sehr schön aus, muss ich sagen. Sehr stimmig. Passt auch zum Ambiente hier. Ich weiß nicht, ob es sich ändert, ob man das ändern kann. Aber ich denke schon. Also, so wie ich GGG kenne, wird man auch das hier ändern können. Da gibt es bestimmt so ein MTX dafür. Für 20 € kannst du das in, keine Ahnung, Little Pony umwandeln oder so. Ich weiß, dass es für Tränke und so auch MTX gibt. Und für Fähigkeiten sowieso. Oh, jetzt. Oh, ja. Ja, jetzt Cascade.
Okay, do the. Oh, nice.
Noch gerade geschafft. Cascade macht wohl mehr Damage an vereiste Gegner. Jetzt. Du musst mehr Fähigkeiten benutzen, Mann. Mach dein Cascade und so. Du hast genug Mana.
Come on.
Hau ab, ja.
Oh, hey.
Oh, nice, getroffen. Face Flame. Man sieht, ich weiß nicht, ob die, Junge, der wäre fast wieder gestorben, Alter. Er hätte auch fast gesagt, oh shit.
Come on, come on.
Du schaffst das, Alter, der stirbt mir nicht. Das hocken wir noch bis morgen hier.
So go, there you go, there you go.
After this.
No, 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 no. Get him. Okay. All right.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Oh, da war was. Plus 10 irgendwas. Auf jeden Fall hat er Fähigkeiten benutzt, aber die sind nicht in Abblinkzeit gegangen. Ich weiß nicht wieso.
Blackjaw has dropped a consumable quest item here called the Flame Core. It's a permanent +10 to spirit. In PoE 2, we really want to make sure that you feel rewarded for exploration. It wouldn't be much good if we made all these awesome optional bosses if we didn't have something great to find for killing them. One of the things you might find for killing a boss is permanent stat bonuses for your character.
wonder what spirit does.
All right, now because this random area is different, Mark will have to find his way to the exit the hard way.
This is, because I died, this is no longer rehearsed at all.
Oh, weil er gestorben ist, hat sich die Map... Was? Hat er einfach eine neue Map bekommen? Das ist aber weird. Das müssen die rausnehmen. Ey, das macht aber gar keinen Sinn. Das ist jetzt zurzeit Akt 3. Ich hätte gerne Akt 1 gesehen. Nice, Cascade, bam, explodiert. Ah, guck mal. Diese kleinen Dinger.
This way.
Need to use those killing palms more often, Mark.
Guck, er benutzt Fähigkeiten, aber er keine Abliegenszeit unten rechts. Aber links, da kriegt er Leben ab und so, aber ich weiß nicht, wieso rechts das, das nicht. Jo, Alter. Es ist lustig, aber es ist auch problematisch, vor allem für den Gastgeber, wenn derjenige, der das spielt, zu viele Fehler macht. Also wenn er jetzt 2-3 Mal hintereinander stirbt, weil das macht die ganzen die Zeiten, an die sie sich halten müssen.
I have no idea where I am.
Ja, er hat keine Ahnung, wo er ist. Aber wie nennt man das?
Alright, yeah, there we go. Alright, here we
Verschiebt
are.
die
Here we are.
Zeiten
Here's the
halt.
exit.
So I'm gonna die to these somehow.
Und dadurch sind die Sachen, die sie eigentlich noch zeigen wollen, vielleicht dann noch kürzer oder einige sogar länger und müssen dann andere halt hinhalten. Aber ich denke mal, die sind so intelligent, dass sie das halt mit einberechnet haben. Und wir haben es geschafft, endlich.
Alright. Alright.
Sorry, wenn ich auch so ein bisschen stotter oder so, da mir viele Wörter nicht einfallen. Ich streame seit 12 Stunden und bin schon seit über 12 Stunden wach.
So we can play through together.
Spielen hier zu zweit. Es können auch bis zu 6 Leute spielen. Ich weiß nicht, wie das... Oh, guck mal. Oh,
Here we
Freundschaftsanfrage.
go. Alright. The Sorceress is the new intelligence-focused character in PoE 2.
Hatten wir
While
auch
Witch
Witcher.
focuses more on occult magic and summoning, the Sorceress is themed around pure elemental destruction. Let's have a look at how she plays.
Die haben die geteilt. Vorher war die Witch...
This is the largest soul core I've ever seen. With this, we could power the canal system.
Ja.
But
Er will bloß nicht sterben, Junge.
there is still
Der ist mega
latent
ernst.
energy in this machinarium from its ancient operation. These lines in the stonework should lead to generators. You might need to find some more soul cores to spin them up, but everything looks to be in surprisingly decent condition. Maybe the golems have been maintaining it. In any case, it should still function. We'll have to remove that large core from the wall, of course, but that shouldn't be a problem.
We have some skills here you're probably going to recognize if you've played PoE 1 before.
Ja,
They feel a bit
Frostnova,
different
Flame,
now. Spark is great
Laserstrahl,
in these type
Spark.
passages since it bounces around. We've added a Pierce support gem to
Sieht
really
gut
allow
aus.
us to hit an entire room full of targets. For a more single target focused skill, Arc is a great choice. It does much more damage than the first target that you hit. Now, if you find yourself surrounded, it might be a good idea to use Ice Nova. It hits all enemies around you and slows them down with a chill. Just be
Nice.
careful. Getting up close and personal isn't the ideal place for a sorceress to be. She doesn't have the defenses of a more melee-oriented character.
Ja, oh, ich hätte so gern
In order
So
to help
gut.
with that, though, we could use Arctic
Ich hab
Armor.
sogar Marauder oder so
Arctic
gesehen.
Armor is a
Aber
buff
gibt ja
that
keine
builds
Marauder
up as
mehr.
you
Gibt
stand
ja
still.
Warrior jetzt.
You can see the ice crystals
Hello,
forming around
Moana
the character.
Warrior. Yes, I called you a warrior.
They drop off if you walk. When monsters hit you, they take cold damage and build up to a freeze. So it's a great defense.
Oh, nice.
Just be careful.
Halt, wie
You have
von
to be
Diablo
standing still
2.
for a little while to get the full effect. So trying to stutter step using it isn't the best strategy.
Nice.
Now, Arctic Armor is an ongoing buff, but did you notice it didn't reserve any mana? How does that work? Well, we were pretty sick of the fact that in PoE 1, basically every character was playing with no mana pool. So we decided to change the way that reservation works. In PoE 2, there's a new resource called Spirit. Spirit is a dedicated resource that you can use for ongoing effects like Arctic Armor, Heralds, Auras, and Minions.
Okay. Nice. Ja, hier, ich klappe auf.
Everyone starts with 100 Spirit, which is enough for most ongoing effects. But if you want more, you're going to need to get some more Spirit, which is available on mods from items and on the passive tree. But if you're willing to give up your offhand slot, the easiest way to get it is by holding a Scepter. Find out more about that in the items talk later on.
Okay.
If you want to increase the cold damage
Also-
you're dealing, you can always use Frost Bomb. It places a bomb on the ground that reduces enemies' cold resistance while it's ticking down.
Kennen wir schon aus der Power of Exile 1. Sehen wir,
It's
wie
a
das
great
aussieht.
opportunity to use some cold skills before it explodes. And speaking
Ah.
of cold skills, a great skill to use on monsters with lower
Ich
cold
finde,
resistance is
den aus
Comet.
Power of Exile 1 sieht viel schöner aus und man erkennt
It's a
auch
new
was.
skill in PoE 2 and it hits pretty damn hard. It costs a lot of mana and has a really long cast time, but it's worth the wait. It does a devastating amount of damage.
Zeig
If you're out
mir.
of danger, your character moves back slightly as it casts.
Oh Junge,
It's pretty
Meteor.
hard to hit fast-moving opponents, but it's great on tougher enemies that stand still, or even a larger pack if you're further away and can predict where they're going to move.
Oh. Mann, ich
Now,
habe richtig
if you
Bock
wanted
zu
mana cast utility
spielen.
of those, I guess in an emergency you could use your free-to-cast Fireball.
Aber kein
Where
Zauberin,
did that
Mann.
come from, you ask? Well, this is a great
Oh,
opportunity
Feuerball.
to explain the way that we've changed caster weapons in PoE 2.
Oh, okay.
Now, in PoE 1, caster weapons had a default melee attack that nobody used. And because they had that, they also had a bunch of attack mods that would spawn in them that were useless to a caster.
Warum ist da
In
Gold?
PoE 2, we wanted to clean that up. So each staff now comes with a built-in free-to-cast spell.
Hey, das ist nice. Da viele Outlet-Tags nicht benutzt wurden von
Just put it
Stäben,
on and spam away to your heart's content.
haben die jetzt
Now, this
einfach
particular staff is the
in den
base type
Skill
you'll get
reingetan
right at the start of
für
the beach.
bestimmte,
So it's quite likely
für
that
alle
you'll know it by now.
Zauberstäbe,
So
die man
that's
jetzt
why
einfach
we've
frei
also
benutzen kann, wenn man
made a
möchte.
lot of staves with more utility-focused powers for casters to use. Here we have a crystal staff. It has a pretty cool built-in spell called Unleash. Using it slams your staff on the ground and will allow you to triple cast whatever you cast with your next spell. Now, of course, what you're probably going to want to use with that is something powerful, and Comet is a great option.
Oh! Das ist nice. Also der Unleash-Skill.
You'll notice that Unleash is one of the few skills in PoE 2 with a cooldown. In general, we really try to avoid using cooldowns because we really hate the feeling that combat is just waiting to cast your next spell.
Oh,
But it does make sense for Unleash
deswegen.
since it's free to cast, and it's something we want you to use situationally anyway. Now, if you're
What?
facing something tough, you might need to try out Mana Tempest. Mana Tempest creates a circle of power which your character literally hovers over the ground. While in the circle, your mana drains, but it powers up all your spells. Lightning projectiles will
Okay.
fall, beams will chain further, and you also do a lot more
Unleash-Skill,
damage.
die Fähigkeit vom Stab, ist eine der wenigen, die Cooldowns haben. Und die haben die meisten Cooldowns von den Fähigkeiten weggenommen, weil sie das nicht mögen, dass man so ein bisschen stuck ist und immer auf seine Fähigkeit wartet. Deswegen habe ich die ganze Zeit keine CDs gesehen. Ich habe mich schon gefragt, wo sind die? So, zu Spirit, das ist das neue Mana Reserve, Mana reservieren. Das heißt, wenn man nur Auren und so benutzt hat, dann hat man immer ein Prozentual von seinem Mana weggegeben. Die konnte man nicht mehr benutzen. Das heißt, wenn du 100 Mana hattest, reserviert 50%, hast du nur noch 50 Mana gehabt.
First, cast Frost Bomb to reduce the target's cold resistance. Then use Mana Tempest to increase your damage. Follow up with Unleash, and then triple cast Comet to do a truly insane amount of damage.
Der ist immer noch am Leben. Oh Junge. Nice. Also man kann Kombos machen. Ich glaube, die gehen auch eher auf Kombos. Das erinnert mich ein bisschen an Tekken.
These ghosts.
Yeah. This
Whose
rare
fault is
mon-
that?
This rare monster has dropped an uncut
Und-
gem, and that's a great
Okay.
opportunity to talk about how skill gems drop in PoE 2.
Okay.
Instead of dropping specific gems, you can find uncut gems. Just right-click on them and pick whatever skill you want. Ignore the, whoops.
Okay.
The gem will come pre-leveled to the level of the area that dropped it, so it's a lot easier to change between skills in PoE 2. This time, I think it might be cool to grab one of our meta gems. Meta gems are skills that can have other skills socketed into them, changing how they work. In this case, we're going to select Cast on Shock. Now, let's equip this thing on the skill screen and choose which spell to trigger with it. I think Comet might be fun. Now, because Cast on Shock reserves Spirit, we'll need to first disable our Arctic Armor. We have to decide if we'd rather have the extra defense or the extra offense of the Cast on Shock using our Spark.
Boah, das war gerade zu
Trigger
viel.
gems use a system of filling up cast time on each trigger. Basically, if a skill has a short cast time, it will trigger really often. And if it has a long cast time, like this Comet here, it will take a lot longer to trigger.
Ja,
You
okay,
can
macht
see on
Sinn.
the top left corner, there's a counter that shows you how long until the next trigger.
50%, okay. Zeig mir den Trigger, Junge. Ich hoffe, du stirbst jetzt
Hopefully
nicht.
it shocks the monsters. There we go. There you have it. That's using Cast on Shock. We've
Cast
automatically
on
cast
Shock.
Comet
Das
whenever
ist
we're using our
ange-
lightning skills.
Man hat ja in Power of Exile so gehabt, Cast und Critical Strike, das heißt, wenn du gekrittet hast, dann konntest du Fähigkeiten benutzen, die sind automatisch getriggert.
So,
Und,
we found the generator. Time to power it up.
und hier hat man halt Cast und Shock, wenn du geschockt hast, nach 100% hat er gecastet. Das sieht nice aus.
As power is restored to the Mechanarium, all the constructs are coming back to life. We'll need to fight them on the way back to the charged Soul Core. So, one thing that PoE 1 players might have noticed is this character has both lightning spells and cold spells. That's pretty inefficient, right? It's a big no-no for most builds because any specialization into cold or lightning isn't going to affect the
Richtig.
other element. And generic elemental damage increases are not going to be as powerful as focusing on a single element. Well, in PoE 2 we have another major new system to introduce to solve these kinds of problems. And it starts, oddly enough, with weapon swap. Now, in PoE 1, weapon swap isn't really used much for its originally intended purpose. We imagine that people were going to be swapping in and out between different weapons to deal with whatever situation they were in. People just don't do that at all. And a large reason for that is because it's really, really awkward. In PoE 2, we wanted to solve all of that. The staff Octavian is using here has an ice mod on it that makes it great for when he's using his ice spells. But we would also like to be able to make sure that this build works just as well for his lightning spells. If Octavian equips his previous staff in his second weapon set, you can see that it appears on the character's back. Now, we're going to open up the skill screen. If Octavian opens the skill options for his lightning skills, you can see here that you can choose which weapon sets are usable with each skill. First,
Okay.
we uncheck set 1 from being used by his lightning skills. Then we go through the cold skills and turn those off with his lightning weapon. We'll just take a second.
If I can remember where they all are.
Yeah. Now, when we use Spark, the character will automatically switch to the lightning staff on his back and then use the skill. And when Octavian uses his Ice Nova, his character automatically switches to his Ice Staff before using it.
Das ist fucking gut. Das war gerade ein bisschen kompliziert, aber als er das gemacht hat, habe ich es verstanden.
There's a very short time penalty to switching, so it can be good to leave some skills on both sets if it doesn't matter which weapon set you're using.
Okay, es gibt ein kleines
But we
Penalty.
still have a problem. Passives. Wouldn't it be nice if we could specialize in both cold and lightning passives on the character? Well, in PoE 2 you can.
Okay, am Anfang hat er darüber geredet, dass es sehr ineffizient ist, auf zwei Elemente zu gehen in Power of Exile. Du hast dich immer auf ein Element
We're on the
fokussiert.
passive skill screen here.
Und das hat er
and
gerade
you can see that
gezeigt,
we
wie
are close
gut
to
das
both a
ist.
cold and a lightning cluster.
Ja.
At the top right of the screen, you can see that we have some weapon set specific points to allocate. If Octavian holds shift, he can allocate set 1 to the cold passives, and then allocate set 2 to the lightning passives.
Bro, Diablo, die Kacke, und schmeißt dich auf den Fernseher.
Check it out.
Dagegen hat Diablo keine Chance.
As we use
Ich
our
glaube,
weapon swap,
kein
the skills
ARPG
allocate changes
hat
from
dagegen
one
eine
build to the
Chance.
other automatically. So whenever we cast the appropriate spell, the character's passives reconfigure on the fly to the correct build for that spell.
Kein.
Now you can't do this with every single passive on your tree. Only points granted from skill books will allow this kind of dual specialization. So you're not going to be changing from a mace slamming warrior into a fire elementalist with the press of a button. But it certainly increases the number of options you have for builds. There's a huge number of places where the system can shine. You
Es
can
gibt
augment your
kleine
damage shadow build
Einschränkungen,
with
hat er gesagt.
traps, or have a great curse set up on your witch with one spec and then move to your chaos debuff spells with the other, for example. It really opens up your options. Now another fun meta gem to try out is called Barrier Invocation. This works a little bit like the trigger gems I talked about before, but this one charges up as your energy shield is hit by monsters. We're going to put an Ice Nova in this one. The more energy shield you lose, the more charge builds up.
Jetzt verstehe ich das.
Just get that one equipped there. Yep.
So, okay.
So yeah, the more energy shield you lose, the more charge will build up until the point you're able to cast the socketed skill instantly.
Okay. Umso
There we go. So you lose some, so you lose some energy shield, and at just the right time, invoke Ice Nova to cast all the stacked up copies in one instant cast.
Ja, umso mehr
If you keep
Energie
losing shield, you'll build up
du
even more charge
verlierst,
for even more casts. So it's a great defense.
umso schneller triggert das auch. Der Ice Nova. Das heißt, es ist gut, um vielleicht sind defensive Fertigkeiten, kann man auch offensiv bestimmt benutzen. Aber ist eigentlich ziemlich nice. Vor allem, wenn du. Den könntest du sogar als Kampfmagier spielen. Das ist, oh Junge, eine gute Idee, aber ich spiele keinen Kampfmagier. Außer bei Last Epoch.
Overkill.
And here we are back at the charged soul core. All we have to do now is take it.
Just take it.
Now we just have to remove it from that construct.
Alva, what the?
Nice, Alva ist einfach
This time,
abgehauen.
guys.
Nice, nice Monster.
Frozen?
Nice.
Get away from the wall.
Oh god.
Frozen though. Good.
Frozen, nice.
Helps that we're both doing ice damage. Cold damage.
Oh lol, der kann ihn sogar wegschubsen.
He's heavy stuff.
Stunned.
Okay. Nice. Frozen?
Wir reden jetzt ganz kurz über das Gold. Ich glaube, das ist halt als Währung, das werden die etablieren. Und zweitens hat man jetzt links ja die ganzen Gems und so gesehen. Im Power of Exile 1 ist es so, dass man das in den Items rein tut. Aber jetzt haben die das auf der linken Seite. Ich weiß nicht, ob es ein Maximum an Gem-Slots geben wird, aber ich glaube schon, sonst wäre das halt ein bisschen broken. Und will ja ein bisschen einschränken, damit man noch die Balance halten kann. Aber sehr nice. Und diese Game-Cutter, was man gerade hatte, vorher hast du Edelsteine bekommen, wo halt Fähigkeiten und passive Fähigkeiten waren. Und jetzt kannst du die wohl aussuchen, wie du möchtest. Das heißt, wie gerade eben gesehen, man hat ja mehrere Seiten und er hat sich einfach eins ausgesucht. Das ist schon krass, aber ich weiß, aber ja, da fehlt einfach zu viel Information. Sorry. Oh, da fehlt einfach zu viel Information, wie das, ob es irgendwelche Einschränkungen gibt. Ob es irgendwelche Einschränkungen gibt, was für Games man haben kann. Ich glaube schon, weil manche Games sind halt für ein bestimmtes Level. Außerdem haben das auch rausgenommen.
These areas, as well as around half of each of the first 4 acts, are available to play at the 3 demo zones around EXILCON. Now, if you're physically here at this event and you get to play the demo, just remember, it's a different game than before. It's a lot harder. You're probably going to run the first pack of monsters and just die. I really recommend you read the signs. They have good advice on how to combine your skills effectively. And remember, dodge rolls on spacebar. Use it. You're just going to die otherwise. So your next question is likely to be, when is the beta? Well, we're in our last year of development, but we're still finishing acts, adding skills, and balancing everything.
Okay.
Closed beta is going to start on June 7th, 2024. Path of Exile 2 has been a long time coming, and we're incredibly excited to be near the finish line, but we're just not quite there yet. We're determined not to rush this and make sure we get everything right. In the meantime, there's a lot in store for PoE 1. I'll hand back over to Chris, and he's going to talk about what's coming up.
Nächstes Jahr erst. Oh mein, und das nur die Closed Beta. Das heißt, wir können 2025 oder Ende 2024 mit dem Release rechnen, Alter. Das tut weh. Das ist mega sad.
So that demo is very hard for them to do in person. Like, I am very impressed it went that well. So as Jonathan explained, Path of Exile 1 will continue to be its own unique game once Path of Exile 2 comes out. We will continue to update it with expansions and leagues going forward. And because accounts and microtransactions are shared between the two games, and their expansion releases are offset from each other, it's super easy to jump between them and effectively play both if you want. So I'm going off script for a second here and just going to explain this a bit better.
Okay, besser ist
Imagine
es.
we release a Path of Exile 2 expansion, right?
Weil ich
So
verstehe
everyone
das nicht.
dives in
Wie
and
wollen die
plays
das
it. You can say out
bewerkstelligen?
of the 13-week cycle, you're going to play for, some hardcore players play for the first few weeks, some people play for most of the time. We're going to aim a Path of Exile 1 expansion to come out towards the end of that cycle, say 4 or 5 weeks from the end, which also lasts for 3 months. So
wollen ein
because Path of
Monopol
Exile
haben.
2 has more content and is a significantly larger game, it will mean that you can play Path of Exile 2 for the majority of the cycle, and then either keep playing if you want to keep playing Path of Exile 2, or jump into Path of Exile 1 when its league launches and enjoy that, either for the entire period or until the next Path of Exile 2 one comes out. And of course, because your purchases are shared, if you were to buy supporter packs or microtransactions in either, they're just available on your characters in the other. Speaking of Path of Exile 1 expansions, we've got one coming out in just 3 weeks, on August 18th. Let's watch the trailer for Path of Exile, Trial of the Ancestors.
Okay. Nur die neue
Souls such
Season.
as yours do not go quietly into the night. They thirst for battle.
Der Marauder.
They yearn to prove themselves. Welcome to the halls of the dead. Earn your place among us. Under Hinikora's watchful eye, test your mettle against the greatest warriors who ever lived.
Okay. Das ist wie eine Arena, das sieht nice aus. Das ist Path of Exile 1 jetzt.
Prove yourself in the trial of the ancestors.
Bibelwelt. The Trial of the Ancestors. Oh! Das sieht so nice aus. Ich kann mich schon genau. Ich habe sofort mein Hirn so. Weiß sofort, was das ist. Oh, Passive Skill Tattoos, New Items. Ich mag Theme. Das Theme vom Game. Mit New Atlas Key Sounds. Oh, Item Size Sanctums. Okay. Support Games. Guardian Revamp. Nice, endlich All New Chieftain.
In the
Auch
end,
nice.
only one can become champion.
Nice. Einige Revamps, die das Spiel brauchte.
In the Karui afterlife, the fallen chieftains of each tribe participate in a tournament called the Trial of the Ancestors. You will journey to the afterlife, assemble your own team, and enter the tournament to battle those chieftains and earn valuable rewards.
Ja,
As you play through
das habe ich mir
areas
schon
in the
gedacht.
Ancestor Challenge League, you'll find tradable silver coins. Using them will take you to the Karui afterlife, where you will encounter Navali, who you may remember from the Prophecy League. Each coin allows you to play a match of the tournament. You start the tournament
den
with
die
a
vorher
basic team
rausgeholt,
consisting
Navali?
of 3 warriors. The tournament is double elimination, meaning you're allowed to have 1 loss without consequence. A second loss eliminates you from the tournament. Your team will compete against 10 other tribes, and you choose who you're going to challenge next out of the teams left in the tournament.
Nice.
When you start a match, you see the configuration of the enemy team and get to place your team of warriors on the battlefield to challenge theirs. You and your party of exiles will play alongside your warriors. So while this league does have many elements of an auto-battler, you're right there fighting alongside them.
Ich wusste das.
During a match, when a warrior dies, they respawn at their totem after a short time. If their totem is destroyed, then they are instantly killed and can't respawn. The team that destroys all of the opposing totems wins. If you're playing a hardcore character though, don't worry. Hinokora, the goddess of death, is watching over you and will restore your soul to your body, so you can't permanently die in the afterlife.
Nice. Das ist sehr gut.
Like that. In the Trial of the Ancestors, strategy and tactics are key. Every unit has its own strengths and weaknesses that must be utilized to win matches. The turtle is really slow and really tanky. It's perfect for either defensive positioning to stop flankers or offensive positioning to tank hits for you if you're pushing through the middle. It's not great in the center or flank positions due to its slow movement speed. The Tuatara is a quick and deceptive unit, which is relatively well balanced for all positions. This version of the Tuatara has a stealth ability, which makes it perfect for the flanking position to sneak through enemy defenses and take out unprotected totems from the side. The Goliath of Might is a disruptor unit, and it's ideally placed in a center position to intercept enemies that are chasing you. You can also allocate it to defenses so that it disrupts enemies that are trying to kill your totems by stunning them. So in this match here, we've set up a Tuatara in a flanking position, a turtle on defense to guard our totems, and a Goliath to follow us as we attack up the middle. Our plan is to work with the Goliath to distract the enemy front line so the flanking Tuatara can get through and destroy some of their totems. Teamwork.
Okay.
Upon winning a match, you earn favor and other rewards. I'll talk about the other rewards shortly. There are a lot. You have a separate amount of favor with each tribe, and you can spend it by talking to their chieftain to recruit warriors and purchase field items and equipment that your team can use. Each tribe has specific specialities. For example, Hinokora's tribe manipulates life and death. Rongo Kurai's tribe is slow and tanky, with an emphasis on stuns and knockbacks. You can recruit warriors from many different tribes and mix and match them together into your team based on what you need.
Oh, die brauchen das fair
Field items
Gameplay.
are items that are placed on the battlefield and can be activated during the match to, for example, revive a warrior or heal your entire team. If a field item isn't consumed within a match, it persists on to the next match. But your warriors, their equipment, and your field items are all wiped between tournaments. You enter each tournament fresh. Your success in a tournament updates your overall ranking, which helps you earn better rewards in subsequent ones. Speaking of rewards, let's discuss the good part, what you can earn for succeeding at the Trial of the Ancestors. You can tell this gets me excited. Okay. You get a reward as you win each round of the tournament, and these rewards are visible when you're selecting which tribe you want to play against. They'll help inform your decision, as some of them are regular rewards and some of them are exclusive new rewards you can only get from the Trial of the Ancestors. I'm literally tripping over my words to get to the part where I can explain tattoos. Okay. The Ancestors reward you with special tattoos that are not applied to your skin, but they're engraved on your soul. This process can transform what your attribute skills on the passive tree do, basically the attribute highway nodes generally. The regular ones can only be applied to basic attribute skills and allow you to convert your tree's attribute highways into something more useful for you. For example, this one converts a small dexterity skill into movement speed. Each tribe has its own exclusive passive tattoos. This tattoo converts a small strength skill into additional fire resistance. This one converts a small intelligence skill into additional lightning damage. And this one converts a small strength skill into one that summons a minion when you take a savage hit from a unique enemy. But don't go overboard on the number of skills you convert with tattoos, as you'll probably need at least some of your attributes left to equip items. Each of the 10 tribes has an exclusive unique item that you can earn. These rarely show up as rewards for defeating that tribe in a match. Katava's Hunger is a unique majestic plate that you can earn by defeating the Katava tribe. As you can see, it grants an immense amount of life for a single item, providing you don't have any life on any other pieces of your equipment. While this is tricky to accomplish, it also frees up all those other potential life slots to be something else that benefits your build, making it pure upside. This amulet is a unique item you can earn by defeating the Arohongui tribe. It has the powerful effect of causing your flasks to instantly recover life and mana whenever you're low.
Die
This could
Brustrüstung war
potentially be a
mega gut.
powerful panic button, or maybe you want to build around permanently being on low life or mana, so all of your flask usage is instant. If you manage to win the entire tournament, you'll not only receive the reward for the final match, but Hinokora will also give you a choice of 3 additional Next. Sorry, button didn't work. Of 3 additional exclusive items, let's have a look at some of the things you may be offered. First up, there are 4 unique items that exclusively come from Hinokura for completing the tournament. This belt, for example, lists a plethora of really powerful properties, both beneficial and detrimental. While you're wearing the belt, the property shifts around every 5 seconds. You never know what's going to happen next. Will you always crit, always evade, never evade? Maybe you're able to find some ways to build around the detrimental effects to create as much upside as possible.
Okay.
Hinokura also has a selection of special, more advanced passive tree tattoos that you can only receive from her. This one transforms a 30 intelligence notable attribute skill into one that increases the level of all of your intelligence gems. You're only allowed 1 copy of the specific attribute combination tattoo on a tree.
Oh, ich habe mir einen Drop verdient. Nice.
Hinokura can also award you with a new type of item called an omen. These are small items that sit in your inventory until a condition is met, at which point they are consumed and something happens. In this case, when you reach 25% life, your flasks are all replenished. Now don't worry, each player can only consume 1 omen per combat area, so you don't have any reason to fill your entire inventory with them. This one creates a portal on death. We made it for me. It won't try to save your life, but it will save you some time. This one grants you Soul Eater when you level up. It's definitely worth carrying around for that occasional massive power boost. Omens are tradable but hard to get, so use them carefully. I shudder to think about how much this one is going to be worth in the presence of those incredibly rare unique weapons from 320. Now note, going off script again here, back in the day, when we had stuff like the Prophecy and so on that let you upgrade to rare forcibly on a specific base type, we had to block the good items by putting crap uniques on the, sorry, I meant upgrade to unique. We put crap uniques on that base type so that you couldn't get it every time. Well, we stopped doing that, so a lot of the uniques that were upgraded in 320 are just the only thing on the base type. So items like this let you deterministically get something quite valuable, hence they are quite rare.
That's nice.
The most exciting one, though. Finally, Hinokura can offer you a lock of her hair. This is a very special currency item that lets you foresee the result of using another currency item to craft something. This means, for example, you can know whether it's worth exalting your item because you'll know exactly what the outcome is.
Bro.
Hinokura's lock will slot into your crafting pipeline with powerful consequences.
Du kannst damit
The Trial of
wissen,
the Ancestors
was
offers
du
a
da
wide selection of
craftest.
valuable new rewards as you complete matches and tournaments. We really look forward to seeing what strategies you develop for building, equipping, carefully placing, and playing alongside your tribe. So that's the new Challenge League, but Path of Exile expansions contain more than just a new league every 3 months. In each update, we also augment Path of Exile's endgame and shift the metagame with new gems and balance changes. This expansion is no exception. I'm going to explain the other changes in a medium amount of detail. I'm conscious that we have both new and existing players. For new players, I'm going to try to include some extra content to help make the changes more understandable. You can find out all the detail in the patch notes and other information we'll be posting in the few weeks before release. Let's start with how the Trial of the Ancestors expansion expands Path of Exile's endgame.
Okay.
In December last year, we released an expansion called The Forbidden Sanctum, which introduced the Sanctum Challenge League. This league was a roguelike game set within Path of Exile, where you would
hab ich auch
randomly
gespielt, war
explore
nice.
a randomly generated sanctum 1 room at a time, alongside your regular play. You'd pick which rooms you wanted to explore out of several options, and accumulate beneficial boons and detrimental afflictions
nicht so
that
gut,
made your
aber-
run easier and harder, respectively. Not only did Sanctum work really well as a league, but it also had the potential to be added to Path of Exile as part of its core endgame content, alongside systems like mapping, delve, and heist. Well, in this expansion, the Forbidden Sanctum is back.
Oh, okay. Obwohl ich das nicht so sehr mache. Aber ich juck auch
I've really been
niemanden.
looking forward to this one. We're reintroducing the Sanctum as core content in Path of Exile's endgame. You'll
Oh,
initially meet
okay.
Divinia, the Sanctum NPC,
Es kommt nicht
in
auch vor,
Act
dass
10.
es neue Seasons
Sanctums are now
in das Game
tradable items
eingebaut
that you can
werden. Die
find
sind
while
eigentlich nur
playing
für die
maps in the
Season da.
endgame. A forbidden tome represents a whole floor of the Sanctum, and its rooms can be played back to back, or you can take breaks between them and do something else if you choose. Upon successfully completing that Sanctum floor, the next floor is generated as a tradable item with all of the state of your Sanctum run built in. This means that the item stores what boons and afflictions you had, what rewards you've locked in, and how much resolve you have left. You can then either play this floor or trade it to someone else if it feels more beneficial. For example, let's say you manage to lock in a really valuable reward.
Mirror. Oh
The
mein.
example here is a Mirror of Calandra, but you'll also notice that... Do I have a laser pointer? It doesn't work on the board. Okay, 1 resolve. This is an example here where the player has a very good reward locked in, but a massive pile of dangerous afflictions and only 1 resolve on them. If you don't feel capable of completing the rest of the Sanctum from this point, then it would normally be a write-off, right? If you gave this to me, no way am I getting that mirror. But you can now trade the Sanctum state to someone else who is willing to pay for the chance to earn the mirror, or lose it. And you can look at expected value in economics, right? It's worth some percentage of that mirror. So you trade it for like 5 chaos to someone, they run it and lose their chaos. Your relics, which act as passive bonuses within the Sanctum, are locked in for the run when you start the first floor and can't be changed for the rest of the run. Speaking of relics, they're now tradable and have been rebalanced around this. To those of you wondering, we have decided against bringing back sanctified relics for now. A complete Sanctum run now requires killing the final boss, Lycia, in both her first and second form. She will always drop a unique relic, and these have been reworked and replaced as we rebalanced everything. An important aspect of the new Sanctum balance is that your primary defenses now have some effect on protecting your resolve. Your armor allows you to mitigate resolve loss, and your evasion grants you a chance to avoid resolve loss entirely, a lot like how armor and evasion work. Your energy shield grants you Resolve Aegis, which is a mechanic that works similarly to how Energy Shield behaves for life. In light of the new defensive opportunities and learnings from the original Challenge League, we've rebalanced the difficulty of Sanctum, especially in later floors, and have worked to add more monster and room variety to runs. We've added new boons and afflictions themed around the new defensive mechanics and have rebalanced many of the other ones. Like other optional endgame systems that involve tradable items, players who don't want to play Sanctum can trade their Sanctums to other players in exchange for an item or currency that benefits them more. Successful Sanctum play can generate a lot of rewards. It'll potentially be possible to build characters dedicated to Sanctum running and just farm Sanctums repeatedly in order to profit.
Okay.
Sanctum isn't the only improvement that Trial of the Ancestors brings to Path of Exile's
Jetzt kommen die ganzen neuen
We're also introducing
Features
16 new Atlas Keystone passives to the Atlas passive tree.
Reworms.
As a quick summary for new players joining us, the Atlas tree is a system that allows you to customize your endgame experience in Path of Exile. As you complete different maps, you gain skill points that can be allocated in the tree. You could use these points to modify the behavior of different content you encounter in in-game maps to make it more difficult or more rewarding, or to behave entirely differently. The system allows you to double down on the content you enjoy and avoid content you don't.
Das ist sehr schön,
Keystones are
dass sie
really
das reingetan
impactful
haben.
passives that totally change how in-game systems behave. Usually they have an element of give and take and require you to come up with new strategies to take advantage of them. Each of these 16 new Atlas Keystones changes how you might interact with Path of Exile's endgame. Let's have a look at some of them now. We will reveal the rest of them before the release of Trial of the Ancestors in a few weeks. Extreme Archaeology completely changes how you play expedition encounters. Instead of placing a series of regular explosives, you now place one gigantic explosive. Every single chest or monster in the blast radius is affected by every remnant in that radius.
Das ist nice. Gefällt mir.
Speaker of the Dead makes it so that tormented spirits can possess you rather than possessing monsters.
Das ist nice. Also the Spirits,
Boosting
die
your
Common
stats
Spirits
instead.
sind richtig lustig.
While possessed, you can touch monsters just like a spirit can, making them stronger and more rewarding. It's kind of getting silly at this point, isn't it? Blight is like a tower defense minigame inside Path of Exile. The Cassia's Pride Keystone makes it so that Blight monsters take significantly less damage from players and significantly more damage from Blight towers. This basically lets you go all in playing it like an actual tower defense game. Because we can. Lucid Dreams makes it so that Val's side areas in your maps are no longer corrupted, meaning that you can use currency items to change their mods. That's right, when you encounter a Val side area, the Keystone lets you craft it.
Okay, das ist nice. Warum nicht? Ob es in Path of Exile 2 auch reinkommen wird, I don't know.
Yeah, so we rebalanced the side area mods, we've improved reward outcomes, and we've made the downside mods a bit more punishing, you know, just to make it interesting if you try to go for the good outcomes. You may also rarely encounter a unique Val side area. Destructive play makes it so that the Maven will summon between 1 and 3 extra random map bosses when you are fighting witnessed map bosses.
Okay.
This keystone is analogous to the Eldritch Altar keystones that make those influences more difficult but more rewarding. There are another 11 new keystones that we'll reveal over the next few weeks. Together, these 16 keystones mean that regardless of how you enjoy your maps, you'll have plenty of new ways to play Path of Exile's endgame in this expansion. And I should note, in the initial draft of the keynote, I painstakingly went through every single keystone. It took like 10 minutes. But we'll put them in the news to save you some time here. In the Trial of the Ancestors expansion, we're shifting Path of Exile's metagame in several ways. The first is by introducing 14 new support gems, which are designed to take existing categories of skills and provide entirely new ways to play them. For full information, check the final gem hovers when we post them in the next few weeks. Let's have a look at a handful of these support gems now.
Okay. Das ist
In Path of Exile, war cries usually buff your party but don't directly hurt monsters. The Corrupting Cry support gem turns war cries into damage-dealing skills by making them inflict corrupted blood on monsters affected by the war cry or by your attacks that it exerts.
nice.
The Returning
mag
Projectile
ihn.
support gem causes projectiles from supported skills to return
Das
to
ist
you,
nice.
piercing all targets but dealing a little less damage.
Das ist nice. Ja, das gefällt mir.
I think there's another example too. The Fresh Meat support gem causes minions created by supported gems to gain adrenaline, critical strike chance, and critical strike damage for a duration after they're first summoned. So you've got to work out a way to keep refreshing your minions, and it makes them a lot more powerful. The Flamewood support gem causes totems to trigger projectile mortars at enemies that hit them. This is particularly synergistic with totems that can taunt enemies, such as Decoy Totem, or one of the new Chieftain Ascendancy skills that I might talk about shortly. The Sacrifice support gem works on spells that you either cast yourself or through totems. These spells now sacrifice a percentage of your current life or the totem's life to gain additional chaos damage based on how much life was sacrificed.
Okay, aber ich spiele eigentlich nie
The
Chaos.
Frigid Bond support gem affects Link skills and causes a cold mist to come over them. Enemies caught in the beam are chilled and are dealt cold damage over time. This creates a new tool for a cold damage over time build, requiring strategic placement of both yourself and your linked ally.
Das
I
ist so ein
mentioned it was going to
Meme,
get silly. The Locust
weil
Mine
wenn man
support gem
gelingt ist
looks
und
OP
einer von den
and affects
Charakteren
attack
stirbt,
skills
stirbt
that
der
use
andere
bows
auch.
and wands. Instead of directly using the supported skill, you throw mines in an arc that use that skill for you, targeting your location when you detonate them. In addition to these gems, there are another 7 that we'll be revealing over the next few weeks. In addition to the 14 new support gems,
Was
our
ich
balance work for the Trial of the Ancestors involved us revamping 2 Ascendancy classes.
Oh.
These are the subclasses that you can specialize in as you play through Path of Exile's campaign. Each main character class has 3 Ascendancy classes available. In the last expansion, Crucible, we overhaul the Pathfinder and Saboteur. This time, it's the Guardian and Chieftain, which are specializations of the Templar and Marauder, respectively. While we were very happy with the theme of the Guardian, it was falling behind the power level and popularity of other Ascendancy classes.
Jetzt
Our
redet er
changes
gerade
in this
über
expansion have
die
modernized the class and will present you
Ascendancy.
with more relevant
Was
build
ist, ich
opportunities
glaube,
than
ich
before.
glaube, die
Brace
wollen ja
yourself.
das Path of
Okay.
Exile 1 und 2 wollen sie jetzt
Path of Exile
separat
1 and 2.
machen.
Harmony of
Also
Purpose can power
Maintain,
up
separat
parties using link
Maintain.
skills.
Beide
Time
werden
of Need now completely
verschiedene
cleanses and heals you
Seasons
every
haben,
4
was
seconds.
verdammt krass
Radiant
ist.
and Unwavering Crusade both
Und ich
fully
glaube,
embrace the
das Path
holy
of
summon
Exile
thing
1
by
wird so
giving you access to
silly,
some
wird so
exciting new
spaßig,
types
wird so
of
halt
minions that are
übertrieben und
exclusive
so,
to
was
the
wir schon gerade
Ascendancy class.
gesehen haben.
We
Und
have
Path
this
of
picture
Exile
on the
2 wird das
announcement
halt so
page,
mehr so
pathofexile.com/ancestor for you to scrutinize.
ernster
Next.
und nicht so übertrieben. Oh, jetzt habe ich nicht zugehört, aber egal.
While the Guardian's revamp was similar to that of the Pathfinder, the Chieftain has received the Saboteur treatment. To be honest, we were unhappy about many aspects of this Ascendancy class in its old form, and so we have completely redesigned it. You can play it now. It's basically an entirely new Ascendancy class with the same name and art and a new way of approaching its themes.
Nice.
Its new skills let you, among other things, cause enemies to explode, turn off enemies' fire resistance while you're stationary, convert passive skills to apply to fire damage, and have your fire resistances apply to your cold and lightning resistances. I'll just give you a sec more to read. All right, that's on the site too for you to check out. It's pretty powerful now. To celebrate the release of the Trial of the Ancestors, we'll be hosting a boss kill event. To enter, create a hardcore solo self-found character in the Ancestor League and race to kill all 7 Uber Pinnacle bosses on the same character. Note that unlike the last event we ran, this one is not a ruthless event. We'll post more information about the event and its prizes in the news before release. Best of luck to everyone. For the Ancestor Challenge League, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs,
Das ist
the Shade
nice.
and
Das will
Disciple
ich wissen.
packs.
Die
Each tier
Support
contains
Packs?
the pack's full face value and points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available for the duration of the Ancestor League and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect the character's power or progression in any way, despite how cool they look. The Shade series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Die sind teuer,
Alright,
aber die
the
sind geil.
sarcophagus back attachment imprisons an unspeakable evil that struggles to break free. Nearby monsters send it into a frenzy, and enemy deaths provide it with souls to feast upon.
Cool.
The Stygian Waypoint shackles visitors to your hideout in chains, yourself included. These chains are just cosmetic though, and they break as soon as you move. It would supposedly be a gameplay advantage to be able to imprison people. The Ferryman's armor set is so full of trapped souls that some of them try to escape. Moving while wearing the boots will leave souls in your wake trying to break free. The Infernal Portal opens a gate to the Netherrealm when you approach. This prompted a lot of internal discussion about whether using Hellfire to heat your hideout is actually safe and practical.
Sieht nice aus.
The demon-bound crafting bench allows you to enslave a malevolent entity to craft items for you. Be warned, it has a sharp tongue and will mock you mercilessly.
You chained me for such a paltry use.
Das ist nice.
The Nebula character effect causes items you pick up to orbit you in an ethereal cloud of loot.
Das ist lustig. Das wird angezeigt, was
The
du in deinem
Disciple series of
Inventar
supporter
hast.
packs also contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Look at dog. I'm going to put that in the top pack. The Hero's Landing finisher effect summons a marble statue from the heavens to execute unique monsters you defeat. You decide whether it's the sword or the huge lump of rock that actually kills them. The Bell Tower map
Nice.
device heralds the opening of a new map with a peal of bells. Start to run out of portals though, and it will reflect your desperate situation.
Das ist nice.
This is fine.
Das ist
The
nice.
Cathedral armor set refracts light through your character, creating beautiful patterns on the ground around it. If your life gets low, it responds in kind.
Das ist
The Observer Diamond Flask summons a tentacled mass that fires its eye lasers at enemies you critically strike while the flask is active. Again, cosmetic. The Currency Orb charge effect lets you pick from a number of different currency types to replace your charges with, as long as you've used that currency item anytime from today onwards. Some people, we have to store it in the database, right? Some people will show they can be part of the exclusive club of players who have actually used a Mirror of Calandra. This effect also causes your charges to display in town. So the theory is you go use your standard mirror, which we all have, right? The Faithful Hound Pet is a very good doggo, and it knows a few tricks. You can command it to sit, roll over, or play dead.
Junge.
And yes, you can pet the dog.
Oh, wow.
These new packs are available right now at pathofexile.com/purchase, and purchases like these directly fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 1 and 2. Meanwhile, the Lithomancer and Enchanter packs leave the store forever at the launch of Trial of the Ancestors, so now's your last chance to purchase them. There's some good stuff in those too. Thanks for your continued support. The fun part. For the last EXILCON, we developed a special card game that encapsulated the full gameplay arc of Path of Exile over the course of the event. Players could defeat monsters, progressively upgrade their items, use currency items to craft their equipment, find and run maps, and eventually defeat pinnacle bosses to earn rewards. It was a whole lot of fun, and we've had so many requests to run it again. So this year, we're proud to bring you the 2023 version of the EXILCON card game. And like all Path of Exile expansions, it even includes a challenge league. In your swag bags, you'll have found a box of EXILCON cards, and then a gentleman outside will have asked to purchase them from you for real money. If you have any cards left, you can use these to challenge GGG staff members who are walking around EXILCON as monsters. They'll be wearing t-shirts showing the monster's stats, which include symbols for their attack and defense. Using the cards in your deck box, and those you accumulate by defeating monsters, put together one set of armor, one weapon and shield, or a two-handed weapon, and an amulet and 2 rings. To defeat a monster, the damage on your weapon has to be equal to or larger than the defense of the monster, and the defense on the armor and shield have to be equal to or larger than the attack of the monster. It's that simple. There are some wildcard symbols. It's explained on the rules in the box. Rings and amulets are pretty hard to find, and they can be used for either attack or defense. So to attack a monster, politely approach a staff member wearing the shirt, introduce yourself, and show them the set of equipment you want to use. If your symbols match, then you'll have defeated them, and they'll give you a reward and remove some of the durability from your items. They do this by clicking the card, so if you want to keep the card pristine, don't necessarily attack someone with it. It will get damaged in combat. Be careful not to waste your best items on low-level monsters. You're not allowed to attack the same monster twice in a row, so you need to explore EXILCON to find different GGG staff members. You can get maps by defeating monsters marked as gods. Take these maps to the map device to run them and progress through the tiers. On the back of the box is a list of quests. As you complete quests, you can visit the crafting bench on the top floor to receive rewards for completing those quests. While you're there, you can also use your currency items to modify your equipment. I mentioned that this year's version of the card game introduced a challenge league. That league is Delve. Accumulate sulfite and bring it to the Delve wall, sorry for the bad photo, it's hard with lighting, on the middle floor. Each sulfite card you hand in allows you to explore one tile of the azurite mine. You'll all be working collaboratively throughout the event to delve deep into the mine, fight the monsters that lurk there, and uncover its treasures. And I feel really bad for the poor people that had to hang 3,000 cards on that wall. You may eventually be able to challenge the pinnacle bosses if you manage to get really far in the card game. I'm the Searing Exarch, Jonathan is the Eater of Worlds, and Mark is the Maven. Defeating any of the 3 of us will reward you with a Mirror of Calandra enamel pin. This pin is exclusively available for winning the card game and won't be sold in the merchandise shop. Each person can only receive a maximum of 2 mirrors, and when they run out, we can't give any more out, so try to win the game early. The reason for 2 is a very typical Path of Exile reason, 1 for you and 1 to trade. All right, it's almost time to go and experience EXILCON 2023. Aside from the card game, we've prepared a full weekend of activities for you. There's a busy roster of talks and interviews on the main stage and the streamer stage. We've posted a schedule at pathofexile.com/EXILCON so you can see what is happening when and where. The schedule also includes information on meet and greet sessions. Our special guests this year include a roster of many of your favorite streamers, but also some game development industry friends we've met over the last 16 years. We're proud to once again welcome the creators of the Diablo series, David Brevik, Max Schaefer, and Eric Schaefer, as well as Travis Baldry, who you may know from Fate, Torchlight, and his popular fantasy books, or even the books he's narrated. They'll not only have meet and greet sessions, but are also participating in an action RPG roundtable discussion alongside me and Eric tomorrow on the stage. In all of the developer talks and panels, EXILCON attendees will be able to scan a QR code on their phone to submit questions for the speakers to discuss on the panel or on the Q&A section of the talk.
3,5 Stunden.
The Path of Exile 2 EXILCON demo is a large one, and you may want to play it multiple times this weekend. In each session, you can pick from one of 4 character classes, which start at various points throughout the first 4 acts of Path of Exile 2's campaign. Around half of each act is included in the demo, and your session time is limited to 45 minutes before you have to let someone else have a turn. Remember, as Jonathan said earlier, this demo is hard. Read the signs that explain how your skills combine together. Dodge roll is your new friend. You should also swing by the Path of Exile mobile demo at the chill out area on the top floor and check out its progress. It's coming along really well, and we'd love to get your feedback on it. We've created heaps of new Path of Exile merchandise, which is available at our merchandise shop on the middle floor. We've made 17 new t-shirts, which include a few from our community t-shirt design competition. We've created a range of 24 enamel pins. You'll have found a random one in your swag bag. If you approach me and I'm wearing a pin, feel free to swap for the one you've got if you'd like. Happy to trade. You can purchase the others in the shop. As mentioned before, there's also the super exclusive Mirror of Calandra pin that is only available to winners of the card game. Maybe you're able to trade for a full set. There are 2 new posters. One is the Atlas Passive Tree, and the other is the Periodic Table of Currency.
That's nice.
In addition to reprinting the incredibly
cool.
popular Celestial Cat socks, we've also introduced the Chaos Orb socks, better for business meetings. There's also a range of 4 desk pads to keep your play area tidy. You can check them out at the demo zone. We have a limited range of EXILCON 2019 merchandise available in the store as well. Make sure to hit it up early if you want some of this, because stocks of the older items are quite limited. We have plenty of new merchandise for everyone though, and I think I might have underestimated that. The EXILCON livestream concludes tomorrow with our grand racing finale, where 4 players compete for up to $10,000 and the title of EXILCON 2023 Racing Champion. Afterwards, we're hosting an after party at 8 p.m. at the venue. If you're watching from home, please note that because there are multiple things going on at the same time here, and we can only stream one of them live, we'll be re-streaming 3 of today's talks tomorrow before the event starts. So to be clear, they're occurring here, people can watch them in person, but you can't watch them at that time because we're streaming something else. So we're going to re-stream those tomorrow in the 3 hours where it's way too early to do it in New Zealand, but you can watch them online from the States and Europe. This makes sure that everyone is fully up to date on all of the talks that have been announced about Path of Exile 2 before the important Q&A in the morning where you get to ask the important questions. If you missed out on attending EXILCON this year, we'll be at Gamescom in Germany in August and PAX West in Seattle in September.
Gamescom, ich dachte,
At
was
both
in
shows, the
Deutschland.
Path of Exile 2 booth will have our EXILCON demo available to play and a small team of Grindiger Games developers, including me and Jonathan, to
Scheiß
chat
auf
to,
Gamescom.
and we hope to see you there.
Auch wenn ich gerne das Spiel
Thanks so
spielen
much for
würde.
joining us this weekend at EXILCON 2023. Have a great show, everyone.
Einen Moment, danke.